Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering Scared a Lot in Camelot, which originally aired on October 16th, 1976, and it's the 6th episode of the Scooby-Doo Show, or when it originally aired, the Scooby-Doo Dynamite Hour. So we're back on some familiar ground here as we're treated to our third castle, which has been transported from Europe over to the States, brick by brick, or in this instance, as Shaggy says, stone by stone. And in this instance, the castle happens to be King Arthur's castle, or the Castle of Camelot, and the ghost of Merlin the sorcerer, along with the ghost of the Black Knight, have come back to haunt it. So this takes place in New England, and the gang are visiting Shaggy's uncle, Uncle Shagworthy. And Uncle Shagworthy is the kooky zillionaire who had transported this castle over. We learn that Uncle Shagworthy is incredibly rich due to him being a successful jewellery dealer. This episode was a request from John, who wrote that he didn't think much of this episode when it originally aired, but over the years, as time passed on, this episode grew on him due to the humor. If you'd like to request an episode, the details are below. Basically, go to my website, shoot me an email, or go to the Facebook page and shoot me a message. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with it. The episode begins with Shaggy's uncle, Uncle Shagworthy, sitting in a castle library reading the book The Knights of the Round Table. Focusing on the book, a shadowy figure sneaks up on him. As Uncle Shagworthy cries out no, we assume the mysterious figure is Bad News Bears.
Like it can't be!
After attending and accidentally ruining a magic show for Zarko the Magician,
Oh no! You dimwit ruined my act!
the gang hightail it to Shaggy's uncle's castle.
He's a kooky zillionaire, one of the world's biggest jewel dealers.
At the gates, we meet Clarence, the castle caretaker, who explains that Uncle Shagworthy has gone missing. The great Merlin then appears in a poof of red smoke and summons the Black Knight to carry Clarence, the caretaker, away.
Who dares to enter the domain of the great Merlin? Foolish mortals, there is no escape.
Merlin is unhappy with Clarence as he did not obey his warning to keep visitors away. Merlin then tells the gang to leave now or he will cast his black magic spells on them as well. Merlin disappears and Freddy decides to enter the castle to rescue Shaggy's uncle. As they wander about inside, they encounter the Black Knight, but are fortunate enough to slip away unnoticed into a hidden room after finding a secret panel. Inside this hidden room, the gang find a replica of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table. It's a cool reproduction as it's several suits of armor sitting at a round table. Without warning, in a rather haunting scene, the ghostly apparitions of the knights rise from the suits of armor and chase the gang. Daphne, Velma, and Freddy take off towards another room, while Shaggy and Scooby hide underneath a table. Merlin spots Shaggy and Scooby and hypnotizes the two of them to become his evil apprentices. His first demand is that they dispatch of Daphne, Velma, and Freddy. It's kind of rather funny seeing Scooby and Shaggy hypnotized because they sort of act like dumb morons, kind of like Beavis and Butthead. Merlin's plan is for either Shaggy or Scooby to pull a feather on a falcon statue where a trapdoor will open in the library, sending Daphne, Velma, and Freddy into the moat where they will float like a bottomless boat. Looking for clues, Freddy, Velma, and Daphne are already in Uncle Shagworthy's ransacked library, where they find a suspicious red scarf. Via a trapdoor, the hypnotized Shaggy and Scooby slide into the library and try their best to take out Freddy, Daphne, and Velma, but each time they do, it backfires. Realizing that there's something up with Scooby and Shaggy, the rest of the gang eventually manage to snap the two of them out of their trance using the power of a Scooby Snacks. The gang keeps searching for Uncle Shagworthy throughout the castle and eventually find him chained in a dungeon cell. Uncle Shagworthy explains that Merlin and the Black Knight recently started appearing in the castle every evening at 12:15 a.m. Daphne is puzzled at the odd time as ghosts normally appear at the strike of midnight.
I thought ghosts always started prowling at the stroke of midnight.
Regardless, the gang continued to search for clues, minus Uncle Shagworthy, who politely excludes himself from the searching as he's allergic to ghosts. Visiting the treasure room, they also find that it has been ransacked. Freddy, Daphne, and Velma are once again chased by the ghosts of the Round Table, while Scooby and Shaggy are pursued by the Black Knight and Merlin. Eventually, both parties evade their separate pursuers and resume searching for clues in the castle. Heading to the castle tower, they find an electric organ with a telephone television monitor attached. At this point, Velma starts piecing together the mystery. Freddy clues in as well and devises a plan to trap the wizard. In true Scooby-Doo fashion, the trap backfires, but obviously they end up catching the villains. The Black Knight is revealed to be a hired henchman, while Merlin is first revealed to be Clarence the caretaker, until Freddy removes the second mask, which reveals Zarko the magician. Hooking back up with Uncle Shagworthy, the gang explained that Zarko had been disguising himself as Clarence the caretaker to find Uncle Shagworthy's jewels. Velma realized it was Zarko when Clarence was kidnapped. The stunt was performed like a magician's trick, as the Black Knight carrying Clarence phased through the castle wall. I'm still a little confused about this trick because Zarko was Merlin and Clarence, and they kind of appear in the same scene together. And then you have the henchman carrying Clarence off while Merlin is still off in the corner. So was one of them a projection? Who knows? It's a magic trick after all. The red scarf they found in the library was another clue, as it was commonly carried by magicians. You know, this is just a common thing magicians have. The flying ghost knights were controlled by organ keys, and again, they were just illusions. The final clue was the fact that the ghost showed up at 12:15 a.m. Zarko's performance always ended at midnight, and the theater he performed at was only 15 minutes away. Uncle Shagworthy then treats the gang to a banquet full of food, and we later find out that his jewels were hidden in an emergency food refrigerator. As Velma would say, like uncle, like nephew. So I give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. Originally I was thinking an 8, but much like John, the more I watch this episode, the more it grows on me. And you know, where this episode kind of falters for me is that it isn't that spooky, but it is full of humor. And there isn't much of a plot to this episode, so there isn't really much to maybe showcase the spookiness. Really, you get the gang starting off with some gags, some jokes where they ruin the magic trick of Zarko when he's doing his show. And then you get to some chase scenes, and you get to some more gags when Scooby and Shaggy are hypnotized, and they get to some more chase scenes, and then some more gags when they try and trap Merlin. So it's just, you know, it's fast-paced, it's action-oriented, not a lot of exposition, not a lot of backstory, and, you know, I kind of miss the backstory. I kind of wanted to know more about Uncle Shagworthy. I kind of wanted to know more about Zarko the magician and his motive, but you don't get that. What you do get is a lot of humor, and there are some spooky scenes. The one spooky scene I did enjoy was when the Knights of the Round Table, the ghosts, they rise out of the suit of armor and they circle around the round table. I thought that was super spooky. It reminded me of the Haunted Mansion ride at Disney. And you get the humor with the comparisons between Uncle Shagworthy and Shaggy, how they both love food, how they're both kind of chickens. I like that a lot. And seeing Scooby and Shaggy hypnotized and acting evil and just acting as dumb idiots also amused me. It cracked me up. That's like a 2-minute scene, maybe 3 or 4, and it was super funny, and I really appreciate that scene. Merlin himself, not that scary. His design is rather kid-friendly, but I did appreciate the magic powers they gave him and how they kind of based it in reality, and how he would use like his typical magic stage show or stunts to scare everyone away from the castle. The Black Knight is also way more intimidating than the Black Knight we saw in What a Night for a Night. And I like the design of this Black Knight a little bit better. I liked how he grabbed Shaggy and Scooby, and he was intimidating. And they also made him intimidating by making him kind of stomp around a lot. Like you could hear him coming a mile away, but that kind of added to the spookiness of the episode. So overall, yeah, this is a good episode. It's just not a 10 out of 10 for me because it's not that spooky. Anyway, thank you for any subscribes, likes, shares, requests, feedback, comments, all that. I love hearing from every one of you. It always makes my day anytime I get a message from a fellow Scooby fan. And I always enjoy hearing why you like episodes as well. It makes me think. It makes me put things in a different perspective. So again, thank you for that feedback. Until next week, where we will be covering Hassle in the Castle, stay spooky.
Like it can't be.
Oh no! Who dares to enter the domain of the great Merlin?
I thought ghosts always started prowling at the stroke of midnight.